Hello everybody, my name is Kanaminika, and welcome back to the unboxing, where today, after an onslaught of Reveltech figures from My Hero Academia, we are finally looping back around to look at what started this little stupid-ass escapade, SH Figuarts. That's right, we are continuing the SH Figuarts My Hero Academia line by taking a look at the Bombastic Bully himself. That's right, the SH Figuarts Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite! AKA Katsuki Bakugo. Um, yeah. um, as you know, the thing that kind of got me into this whole bullshit banana blitz was the SH Figuarts Izuku Midoriya. I picked it up on a whim because I heard people liked it. And, well, I liked it a lot. So it kind of brought the brain worms back in. And it got me a little bit obsessed with this franchise that I got into a little bit in middle school and then stopped caring about. Anyways, yeah. I was a bit on the fence on ordering Katsuki Bakugo for a little bit until I got that figure. In part because I'm not the biggest fan of his character. I understand what he's going for, but like I kind of wish other characters got a little bit more focus over him, but like I understand his purpose. He's fairly decently written. Like again, the thing about My Hero Academia is it's a very 7 out of 10 series. In a way, it's got some really high points, but it's also very disappointing at times. And sometimes it's just kind of mid, which is a weird thing to describe a show as someone who tries to be a little bit more of a thoughtful critic or whatever. I have a lot of opinions, but they aren't really space for a toy unboxing, I guess. Anyways, this packaging is very similar to the Izuku Midoriya from before, a simple kind of white and gray background with some sort of geometric shapes. I think it's kind of fitting the Season 6 and Season 7, like, promotional art style. It's fairly nice. I kind of wish it was a little bit more stylistic. Like, you can kind of see the Chainsaw Man one back there and the way it emulates the manga covers for that series. This one doesn't really do that, because, like, the aesthetic for, like, the manga is very American comic book inspired, and that's something that only really one Hiroaka property outside of the manga has kept going, and that is the anime adaptation of Vigilantes, oddly enough. Everything else just kind of keeps it basic. But whatever. It's very similarly styled, fairly geometric, fairly, like, liney, but it looks fairly nice. You get a window to take a look at the figure inside of its package with the SH Figuarts quote on the frontal window, which makes sense. You get the name of the figure with his hero name back here, Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite, as well as in Japanese, his name, Katsuki Bakugo, all the usual legalese and like the Tamashii Nation seal, and up here it says Bandai Namco and My Hero Academia, and you get a nice, sorry for bumping the camera, I'm going to re-straighten that a little bit for your guys' sake. And you can see a nice promotional image of Katsuki himself using his iconic attack with his explosion sweat hands, whatever. On this side, the window doesn't continue, which is quite interesting, but you get a more relaxed promotional image of Katsuki. You get the SH Figuarts, My Hero Academia, the MHA logo in this sort of like hexagonal style, and Katsuki Bakugo. All of it's nice and styled within his kind of orange color scheme, which is neat. On this side, similar to the One Piece figures, you get 4 different looks at some of the different expression pieces that Bakugo comes with. A angry expression, a more like kind of gleefully murderous expression, a stern expression with the mask on, as well as his maskless look. My Hero Academia Katsuki Bakugo there at the bottom. On the bottom of the box, you have something very similar to like it's going to be a bit weird to explain, but have you seen like those P Bandai like Kamen Rider and like Super Sentai roleplay items? Or on the back is this really oddly nice posh look at like the character. It looks like that. It's like a heavily edited, like kind of fiery orange image, and it just says SH Figuarts Katsuki Bakugo, and it looks really high quality, and it looks very like premium. It's interesting. On the top, you get a more standard promotional image, SH Figuarts Katsuki Bakugo, and it says MHA right there. And on the back of the box, you get your usual promotional images. You get information about Simple Style and Heroic Action, Katsuki Bakugo. You get more promotional images of his faces. These two are the same. This one's kind of larger and more faded out. You get a more standard look at the figure, as well as action poses for the figure. The kind of Western import sticker, and this promotional image that came with like the deck of promotional images that is the same as this one, I think, again, just edited, which is very funny. But yeah, ages 15 and up, don't watch this if you're a child. Anyways, let's take a look at this figure. I've gotten a bit further into the show than I was in some of the previous unboxings, or manga. I'm reading the manga. I have since learned that this is his winter garb, which is interesting. I mean, I like it. It's not necessarily what I'm used to seeing for Katsuki. Ooh, it doesn't have the instructions on the back. It has the instructions in a little instruction booklet for some fucking reason. I really don't know why. But it shows you everything that you can do with the figure. It shows you how to make it work, how to make it pose, all that jazz, and it shows you everything it comes with. Anyways, let's put that to the side. That means that the orange insert on the back is just an insert, so you can take that out if you want orange somewhere. This is what you will get when you take it out of the package, the nice array of like effects and whatnot. But without further ado, let's actually tear into this thing. I've heard mixed things about this figure in comparison to the Izuku. Like, the Deku's just, like, really good. The Deku is just unironically great. And this one I've heard is a little bit more problematic. I mean, Katsuki Bakugo is a more problematic character, haha, funny, so it's fitting. But yeah, especially given this thing is like $80. It's a good bit more expensive than the Izuku, so you would hope it'd be better, but we'll see. Anyways, let's get into the accessories. Let's start with these. Something I really appreciate about this figure is that the explosions are separate parts. Let me just get those out there, being a little bit fussy and getting out. But yeah, you can see on the back they have handprints so that you can place them into Katsuki's hands, and they have little peg holes, but you can just kind of also just have them be explosions. They are also have like a little bit of painting that makes them feel a little bit more premium than just like clear orange parts. So that looks really nice. They look like they're clouding up a little bit, which feels fitting. But you can also just place them on the ground, and now you have some subtle explosions for like your photos or whatever. And that's just a little bit of icing on the proverbial cake. And I believe those go with, now that we're on the hands, I guess, these hands have peg holes and are really only meant for the explosion effects, but they still have the sculpting on the interior of the palms. There's like some glove detailing that looks a little bit muscly and is really interesting. The paint could be a little cleaner on the gloves, but it doesn't look bad. And yeah, they're kind of meant to be at an angle permanently. Let me see if I can do hand matching. I think it's meant to be let me look. Okay, so it's because you kind of got to match the shapes a little bit because they do appear to be specifically sculpted. Yeah, there's like a little bit of a paint blotch on this one. If it'll show up, you can see that little dot. But yeah, you got to match the shapes, but they hold in quite well. So for now, I guess I'll just put these in. Yeah, just be careful. It's a little rubbery, so just be a little careful as you put that in. You also get alongside the fists that come on the figure already, you also get a set of splayed out open hands, which again makes sense. They are splayed out as if he's going to prep an explosion. They look nice, and the thing is about these Hiraka figures, they have large hands, so these feel nice and meaty and like chunky, and like you get a lot of plastic out of it. And I do like the way that the fingers have these nice ridges. It's accurate to the design from what I've seen, but it just adds that little bit of extra detail that I always appreciate on an SH Figuarts. Then finally, you get a very familiar pair of hands. We've got these sorts of grippers, which are very similar to the ones for the explosion hands, but I'm glad you didn't just get those. You also get these, which do not have the peg holes. I imagine in part for like video or like photo editing, you can just sort of have these be edited to have like little bits of explosions, or you can be just posing him to prepare an explosion in one hand while the explosion's going off in the other. So yeah, it's a very considerate option. I do wish there was a little bit more hand-wise, but it's fine. Next up, we're going to look at the different faces, but that includes taking a look at his extra headpiece. There is no frontal bang, seemingly. I imagine you just use the one that's on the normal head, and then you swap it into this. I kind of wish it had its own dedicated bangs piece, but that's fine. And then it's just kind of normal hair. It looks nice. It seems to work, and it's got a ball peg right there, so you just pop it off the head, pop this one on, and you're good. And it comes with probably the biggest misstep, in my opinion. This head only comes with one expression. This similar stern expression that you get on the base package. It does look like Katsuki. It does fit him, but I kind of wish there were more kind of maskless expressions for him. So for now, I guess I'll just leave this here, I guess, potentially. Yeah, it just kind of squeezes on there, and he looks like he is balding. If it'll focus. Yeah, it looks like he's balding, but it does look accurate enough. Anyways, he comes with 3 more faces for when he has the mask on. Let's look at this one. Very Katsuki, very confident kind of angry shouting. It fits him very well. The shadowing on the eyes looks a little bit weird, but otherwise it looks fine. And the bits of paint slap that are on the mask are going to be hidden anyway, so it's fine. But the mouth is painted and sculpted expertly. It has such an expressive quality to it. It's so nice. Anyways, next up is this face, which is a strained shouting face, which I really like the way that they got the eyes to look kind of like bloodshot, which fits him when he does get this angry. And the mouth is, like, I've seen people be like, why'd you include both of these? They convey different expressions. This is a lot more confident and like, haha, I've got you, dumbass. And this one's like, ah! This one's a Vegeta. But yeah, these convey different expressions, and I'm glad that they were willing to include subtle differences in between those 2 faces rather than just including one. Anyways, finally we have a normal smirking face. Again, very expressive, fits the look very well, feels very Katsuki Bakugo. And yeah, it conveys his emotions quite well. Finally, though, we have to get out the bits of the figure that require assembly. So many people just leave these off. I don't know why, in like reviews and stuff, but these are like an integral part of the mask design. These are like the little bits of the mask. You get one for each side, obviously. Are they the same sculpt? I think they are. I think that is more accurate than what the Revoltech did, where they had different sculpts for some reason. Yeah, they're practically the same. They could be different, but they're practically the same. It's nice that they did... The lined paint does look quite nice. There's a little bit of bubbling on this one. Let's see if I can get to focus. You can see a little bit of paint slop on this one. Yeah, overall, they are painted very nicely. But you need to add those to the figure himself. Okay, first note, he does, again, feel a little wobbly. The plastic feels a little nicer than was on Izuku. It's a little bit more matte of a finish, but it also feels a little bit, yeah, just in general looser, especially here in the waist, crotch, whatever, oddly enough. Does have a mask. Anyways, let's get these in there. I'm going to see if I can get the, let's find the paint slot. Let's see if I can get the nub on the inside. Unless, yeah, these are hard to get on because his hair is so spiky. And the holes are kind of a little bit tight. This is a lot of sharp things, so you're going to be stabbing yourself a little bit. Alright, come on. Let me take the head off, because the head comes off very easily, which I've seen people have issues with in the reviews. Like, I get it, because he has swappable heads, but it's a little bit overly loose, feeling-wise. Give me a second while I get the mask onto him. I don't super like how that connects in. Okay, that one's good. There we go. I think I got it in. After nearly puncturing myself. Look at that. Look at my fucking hand. Goodness gracious. Yeah, now you can just pop the head right back on. I imagine some people leave it off because it leaves articulation issues, but he already has neck issues. We'll get there. But anyways, looking at him, he's got the stern face, but it can be easily hidden under the, like, neckerchief or whatever, the hood, which I guess is something that fucking what's his name? Horikoshi really likes to do with his character designs. It's really interesting. He's got that really high collar. Anyways, yeah. The head, once again, the hair is also expertly sculpted, and I do like the way that the mask kind of pokes out of the side. Yeah, the head is very well done. You can see the way his eyes look. It's a bit shadowy and a bit obscured, but I think that is accurate. Mine looks painted nice enough. There's a little scratch on it, but it's fine. Yeah, that works nice. This seems a bit high, but I think it's accurate, and I do like that it's able to be wheeled around, even if it doesn't help the most with neck articulation. We'll get there. The X is also painted very nicely, and it certainly helped that it's a raised sculpt, but it looks nice. I got a little bit of a chip on my torso, but I'll live. I'm not the biggest Katsuki Bakugo fan, so I don't need it to be a perfect figure. I just need a good representation of him on the shelf, I think. Yeah, it looks nice. I do like the way that the clothing kind of wrinkles. Again, he has a somewhat military-esque aesthetic, which I guess makes sense given the bombs. But yeah, this is loose, but it's also painted very nicely. I like that the little bombs, the little grenades on his belt have that nice little bit of sculpting. And you can see there's a little tease for something that I don't quite have yet, but is in the mail and should be here soon. Anyways, I got a little pink slip there as well. But yeah, he's kind of curving it back a little bit. Anyways, yeah, there we go. I do like the subtle detailing on the these little leg straps. They feel very well integrated. I like the way the knee pads work. I like where they get placed in the end. It feels very natural. And the boots, nice boot cut as well, but they're also some of my favorite parts. I really like the way shoes are being done in this line. I think I might like these a little bit better than on Izuku's because these feel a lot less wobbly. But they're also expertly painted and sculpted and nice and big and chunky and very Kingdom Heartsy. Finally, for the arms, these don't feel loose. They honestly slide very well. But yeah, the rest of it looks very nice. He obviously has that winter garb, which doesn't means that like he has like a fully clothed shoulder. But yeah, they look nice. I do like the way everything looks. The hands seem like they'll be a bit of a pain to get out of here just because there's so much stuff in the way, but we'll figure it out. And the bombs are also very nicely done. Very cleanly painted, very nicely sculpted. They look just like they should. I like the way that the silver shines in the light. It looks great. Anyways, as far as articulation goes, the head, from what I've seen, is the most disappointing. There goes the bang. There goes the dynamite. Get it? Because he's a explosion guy. Because he's dynamite. Yeah, his head doesn't really go up super far before popping off. It's not even the, it's his hair getting in the way, not even the these things, which is pretty disappointing. But he can go down fairly far, which helps with certain things. He just can't, like, fly around. That's pretty disappointing. But I guess that gets balanced out by the fact that the torso can arch back on the upper bit, arch forward decently far on that little bit. That's where your swivel's going to come in. It's not super good as a swivel, but it compounds nicely with... People have been noting that the bottom doesn't swivel enough, but that's because the top swivels. You're meant to use the joints in conjunction. It does break up the X, but you'll live. The bottom doesn't really swivel at all, which some people find unfortunately, but again, the top can swivel. You fucking dumbasses. Use all the articulation you have at your disposal. But anyways, he can crouch down. It gets a little bit jammed up in places. And he can crouch back as well to help with flying poses, since his head can't really go back. It does leave a bit of gappage, but I'll live. It does look nice. There we go. I do worry a bit about paint chipping, but whatever. The shoulders have these full exposed areas, so he can just do that. You can just go all the way up, because there's a joint that moves up in here, and one that goes here, and he also has a butterfly, which goes all the way forward. Oh my goodness. That is fucking bonkers. And he has a bicep swivel, which is nice. So, first off, I want to note, the bombs, generally, for aesthetics, look nicer up here, but for the sake of articulation, you can drop them down so that they barely get in the way of the bend. You get a little bit over 90 degrees, but with it lower, I think it only goes to like under 90 degrees, so it's nice that that option is there. And from what I can tell, the hands are on standard wrist pegs, so they move however you want. Legs, you can move this out of the way. They aren't on drop down, so you just kick forward. You can kick back a decent amount and kick out all the way, which is nice. There's a thigh swivel, fairly decently paced, not amazingly, but decently. A double knee bend, which is always nice to see. You can see the metal pins a little bit, which is really interesting. But yeah, and the knee pad also flows very well with it. There is a swivel at the boot, which is always appreciated. And the feet then work very similar to Izuku's, where it's like a ball joint hinge up here, or there's a hinge up here and a ball joint down here. So you can go down all the way, up all the way, an ankle pivot all the way, and you have a... I popped it off. You do have a toe bend, though it's very tight on my copy. Obviously tight enough to pop the foot off, which, give me a second, I'm going to pop it back on while I talk to you guys. But yeah, that's going to be basically the video. This is a fun figure. I think people kind of, it has a couple of, obviously glaring issues, especially for the price, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to everyone, but if you like but it is very good. I'd recommend you get the Izuku first, because this one is more gappy. This figure tends to be a bit more gappy when it poses. This figure does tend to have more weird, funky limitations. This figure is a little bit more janky, but it's also quite good. I do think it's good. It's probably the best Katsuki Bakugo that's on the market, because the others are awkwardly posing, or they fall apart and have no real redeeming qualities, or they fall apart. And this one, while not the perfect figure and not the best figure in my collection or of the year or whatever, is still good. So especially if you like Katsuki Bakugo, I would recommend it. Or if you did like the Izuku Midoriya, I feel like it's a good companion piece, especially if you're going to get that Plus Ultra set. But yeah, I do think that this is a good figure, and it is worth looking for if you are interested. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to do all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know if you want to see more Hiroaka videos, though I probably have overloaded you over the past couple of weeks. By the way, go to my channel, check out all of those. By now, this should be the 5th one. We also have the Izuku Midoriya from both SH Figuarts and Revoltech, and we also have Revoltech's Ochako Uraraka and Mirko. So if you want to see unboxings of those figures, go check out my channel. If you haven't already, of course. And let me know if you want to see more Hiroaka videos. I'll see what I can do. Because certain figures in this SH Figuarts lines are kind of putting me off a little bit. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next video. I hope everything is going well for you, and yeah, bye-bye.